Hello, and welcome to Stories of Hope. I'm here today with Ben, and he's going to share a little bit of his story with chronic illness and how he's found hope in the midst of all of it. I got to know him a little bit at a camp a few years ago, and it's been cool to get to keep in touch and hear a little bit about what his experience has been like over the past few years. So I'm excited for you to get to hear some of what he has to share. So Ben, can you tell us a little bit about your diagnosis story, how you found out that you had a chronic illness and what that was like?
Yeah, Heather. Thank you for having me on the Stories of Hope. I was always healthy and very active, playing 3 different sports in high school, and my problems with illness became worse after I was accepted to the United States Naval Academy. So I left for college to Annapolis, Maryland, and was sworn in as a midshipman and went through the summer training, very intense, stressful environment, and, just a lot of different foods, I'd say, in a normal. But during the training, towards the very end, I started having just some digestion problems, going to the restroom more often or having less time to go to the restroom. And it was just a couple of times. And then right after the boot camp ended, actual school started this semester, and I was just praying, trusting God during the whole time. But it continued to get worse with my studies, and the whole first semester is designed to still be very stressful and try to make midshipmen focus on their time management and their professionalism. So I was under a lot of stress, was not getting a lot of sleep, and my health just continued to get worse from August to November, and my condition got worse, and I felt really disconnected from my shipmates at the Naval Academy. And the whole time I was going to see a doctor there on campus, and he told me to try a diet, and he told me to take these pills, but nothing was helping. So finally, I believe in late October, I went to see the actual GI doctor after it got really, really bad. And they did a endoscopy test, and they diagnosed me with the biopsy that it was ulcerative colitis. And that is a chronic illness of inflammatory bowel disease where it's in the large colon, and your autoimmune system, the microbes sort of attack itself. So it was serious, and I was in a severe stage at that point because it was ignored, and just the environment was really bad. So they put me on some medication, but it sort of just continued to get worse, and I was hospitalized for the first time in November. So that's how I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis.
Wow. And how did you start improving? Like, what was the treatment like? And yeah,
Yeah, improvement. So after I was hospitalized in November, they put me on some steroids, I believe, but that didn't help, and took some pills, and that wasn't helping. And I got a little bit better in the hospital, and I went back to school in December, but it still wasn't good. And then I came home for Christmas break, and it was a little bit better. I was in a better environment, got sleep and rest, and could stay with family. But once I returned to the Naval Academy in January after Christmas, I was almost immediately hospitalized there again with a bacterial infection because I started a biological treatment infusion that goes, directly into your bloodstream. And this biological medicine is purposely designed to suppress your immune system, so your gut can sort of reheal itself. So I was more prone to bacterial infection. So when I returned to the academy, I got C. diff infection, which put me in the hospital and made the situation worse. So I was on antibiotics again, and I went back to school. Still wasn't getting much better, and then I was hospitalized again at the end of January. And at this point, I decided that, it wasn't the right environment for me to heal. I wasn't getting better. But if I could skip back to November, when I was in the hospital for the first time, they told me that it was ulcerative colitis. I didn't really know what it meant. I never heard about this before in my whole life. But when I got back to the Naval Academy, the doctor there said, with this diagnosis, I would not be able to continue in the service, in the military. And I remember that day as it just like hit me really hard because that was my dream. And that's where I felt God led me, because I only applied to military service academies and I got accepted to 3. So I felt, really proud, and like that was God's plan for my life. But that just hit me really hard, and I called my mom, and I remember that day because I was talking to her on the phone and I was crying, but I didn't want her to hear it. I didn't want her to worry. So I was talking to her and just telling her about it, and she was just trying to comfort me. And I just told her like goodbye, and then I just walked away to tears, and you just had to continue today like nothing happened, because you can't really explain it. It's just hard to explain the sickness to other midshipmen. When they ask you how you doing, when you're just passing by, you just have to lie and say good when it's really getting bad. So they told me I would not be able to continue in the service, and they would allow me to finish like the whole year. But then I left the Naval Academy in February 2019 for good. Had to say goodbye to all my shipmates and company mates, which was really hard. And I went back home to Mississippi, where I grew up, and I was hospitalized again there for in May, I believe. I was hospitalized for the longest time, for I believe 2 weeks. And there they switched my biological medicine, but I still wasn't getting better. I was with my church family. I was focusing on my diet a lot, but still wasn't getting much better. To answer your question, when I started to actually improve, it was more of God's timing, because in the summer I came to Prague, Czech Republic with my family, and I was hospitalized for the last time, actually 1 year ago today. I was hospitalized. It was last June 2019. I was hospitalized for the last time in the Czech Republic under Prague Castle. And there they pretty much did the same thing as what the Americans did, but I just started to get better in the hospital significantly. And then afterwards, I stayed and continued to improve and become more stable. So I think it was really sort of God's timing and sort of leading me into the direction of becoming here in Prague. But I'm just on a low dose of steroids and a pill and the biological medicine.
Wow. There's a lot of.
I know, I'm trying to.
No, it's good. Yeah. So I guess how did you process having to leave the Naval Academy and just going to this new unknown, and like having to lose what you had always hoped for, dreamed of? Like how did you deal with that grief of that?
It's very mixed emotions, I would say, because going into it, I was prayed for God to use me in my life, and I had my whole church, the whole city that I went to high school, they all knew about it. They had it on the school banner that I was going to the Naval Academy, so it was just a huge honor. And like I said, when I heard the news that I wouldn't be able to continue, it sort of just hit me really hard. But while I was continually getting sick, I was just like praying, oh, it's nothing really serious. God is just testing me for a little bit. It's not going to impact the rest of my life. It's just going to improve in a little bit. But it didn't turn out to be that way. But I wasn't like depressed or anything. There's times I was just really, really frustrated, I say, with God in a way for changing everything I'd worked so hard for. And I still had some Christian friends at the academy, and I was attending Crew and the Baptist student ministries. So I had some encouragement with that, but it was just really hard because I felt disconnected a lot of times from like my roommates as well. And it was hard on them. But now just looking at the present, I see, God, is working it out continuously. He's done a lot with it, because people saw the way I handled the situation. I um, wasn't losing hope. I always stayed positive and had a smile on my face, even when I was going through, these horrible times at the Naval Academy with my sickness. But I was able to, sort of project Christ's joy and love at the Naval Academy. And then I was in contact with my church family, and they were encouraging me as well. But now it's gotten better, so I can look back and, feel like God used me in that. But there are still times weekly, and I'm like, why God? I lost a $400,000 scholarship at the Naval Academy. I lost, future as a naval officer. So there are moments that I'm always like, just always still a little frustrated at God for, doing it to me. But I still have hope of looking at the Bible and God's promises, what He will do for me in the future through this, and now how it is part of my testimony, and as a person, it strengthened my character, my will to fight. And I'm just grateful, even to be at the Naval Academy for a short time because of the wonderful things I learned there that I can apply to the rest of my life. But I still think about the Naval Academy every day, and it's still frustrating.
Yeah, sharing that. Yeah, that's a big loss, having to lose all of that you had been working so hard for. But can you tell a little bit about where you are now and what you're doing now that you're no longer in the Naval Academy? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I still, pray, read my Bible, get connected to Christians here in the Czech Republic. God led me here, and after I was released from the hospital last June in the Czech Republic, I was able to translate at a Christian sport camp, English and Czech. So here in the Czech Republic, I know it's a mission field. It's one of the most atheist countries in the world. And I am now studying here international relations, which gives me a lot of opportunities here in the center of Europe. And I am still challenging myself in various ways on the student council at my school. Just started playing football recently, and very, very slowly, trying to gain back the weight I lost also during the time I was in the hospital. And, because of the digestion problems, I lost like 30 or 35 pounds. And it was just mostly muscle. So it was a lot of self-confidence that I lost. So now I'm slowly, regenerating muscle back and trying to gain weight as well, while trying to stay healthy and active, and just very, very stress management. Trying to focus on my stress management as well with school, but it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and what does your, I guess, daily life look like with your illness now?
Now, daily life, I'd say I wake up on my own from 6 to 7 every morning, and I just have to go to the restroom. It's a normal thing. You just wake up and go to the restroom, and then eat breakfast here, and then schoolwork, go to school, and then or even while I'm eating breakfast, I read a little bit of my Bible and pray. But then I go to school, hang out with friends, and usually after school I teach English as a part-time job after school. And then, depending on what day it is, I might have a club in the evening, or I'll come home and start studying, eat dinner, and go to bed very early, between 9 and 10 p.m. But overall, like the times, the quantity has gone down for me going to the restroom, which was one of my main symptoms.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome that it's a lot more manageable now than it used to be. So you're still able to do a lot of things, which is really cool. Yeah, so can you tell me about a time when God practically helped you to do something that you felt like you couldn't do because of your illness?
Could you repeat the first part?
Yeah, so can you tell me about a time when God has practically helped you when you were struggling with your illness?
Practically helped me. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, practically God has helped me by just giving me hope, I'd say, in a lot of situations. And a lot of times, if there's not like a restroom nearby, I'm like praying, just help me, make it in time or something along those lines. But it's more of, I'd say, big picture in a practical way that He's given, us medicine as a gift, human um, innovation, you know, has given us, today modern medicine that's been able to help us. So I recently was told by a friend that modern medicine is a gift from God because I was always, trying to stay away from medicine. So that's sort of something that's God has spoken to me to be grateful for medicine we have in our prosperous nations today. And also just a lot of prayer and support from my church family.
Yeah. And how did you learn to regain confidence after you went through all of this, or as you were going through it?
That's a good question because a lot of times I am worried, just like traveling, long distances without a restroom nearby. It's probably prayer, just, asking God for help before I do anything during the day. Also, looking back at how far I've improved with my health helps you gain confidence. And lastly, I'd say placing your identity in the Bible and having good friends that are going to lift you up, encourage you, tell you that you're awesome, and, and just compliment you on a regular basis. And that helps build confidence as well. And working out, just staying a little bit active, exercise helps build confidence as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So what is one thing that you would like for people who are social distancing to know?
In social distancing, I would say definitely make sure you don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Because, when I was in social distancing, I spent a lot more time on social media, just wasting time on just garbage stuff. And you could use the time to definitely call people you have not talked to in a long time. Don't get lazy in your relationship with Christ. Stay active, talking to friends and being encouraging to one another, building each other up, spending your time, a little bit each day, exercising a little bit, and then, just overall improving just knowledge of any subject that you like.
Yeah. Like great. Yeah, we don't want to just waste our time. We have opportunities even in the midst of the restrictions. So, yeah. Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Ben. We enjoyed having you.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Heather.
Yeah, thanks. So next week we will be coming out with a new video. And thank you everyone for watching this video. Bye.